It's showtime. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Trailblazers and Trailblazerettes, gather around and prepare yourselves for tonight. We journey once more into the Design Gazette. It is I, your host, the Star Crusader, and this is the show where we bring on brilliant minds who can't quite handle a kitchen. That's right, folks. Please welcome the one, the only, the Herta.
Oh, so we meet again. You are the 345th person in the cosmos who's been able to meet me twice. That shall be your Herta number. Remember it. Someone might test you on it.
A character we've been familiar with since the launch of Star Rail, there's so much to explore in this genius's design. But before we dive into the nitty-gritty, my dear audience, it's tradition for a YouTuber to ask for a like, a share, and maybe even a down in the comment section below. Don't worry, I won't spoil anything from 3.0, so sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride. And with that, let's jam.
The writers from the Intelligentsia Guild wanted to give me an extra title. Something like Herta Prime, to separate me from my puppets. How banal. Are the puppets not me as well? So I gave them a suggestion. If they dared to write that, then I would call myself the Herta. It's short, simple, straight to the point, and elegant.
Esteemed member 83 of the Genius Society, she's human, female, young, beautiful, attractive, and also an emanator of news himself. You could say she has it all, but sometimes even having it all isn't quite enough, especially when you're as full of yourself as Herta is. When we first encounter this genius, we actually meet one of her many puppets, which she remotely controls from a distant corner of the universe. The thing is though, when you think of puppet characters, they're usually designed to look cool or represent something meaningful to their creator, but Herta, well, she just straight up made them in the image of herself, and her self-love doesn't stop there, because her attack and idle animations feature mirrors that reflect her in every instance. Mirrors, of course, are classic symbols of vanity, reflecting your looks and encouraging a healthy dose of self-admiration. It's straight out of the narcissist playbook, falling head over heels for his own reflection. Honestly, I would love to call her narcissistic, but she's actually got the achievements to back it up, like creating an entire army of sentient puppets modeled after herself, among other things.
Where am I going to find another genius as mentally well-adjusted as me? In the mirror?
Looking at the designs side by side, we can see the similarities in color palettes and style, but it's also easy to spot the differences that set the puppet apart from the puppeteer. For one, the little Herta has ball and socket joints commonly used for marionettes, and we do see strings extending from her splash art. In contrast, the true Herta is fully fleshed out and adorned with numerous hand motifs on her hat, garter, and choker, clear markers of who is the puppet and who is the hand that controls it. With the hierarchy of Hertas established, it's clear that Herta really likes to dress and be dressed in an aesthetic deeply rooted in goth. The Gothic period, which spanned from 12th century to 16th century in medieval Europe, is known for its unique art, architecture, and cultural developments, often stereotyped as eerie, mysterious, and intricate. The Gothic style carries an exotic, dark, and somewhat Victorian sense of aesthetic, and prioritizes detail over flowing shapes or diverse color palettes. Little Herta's design is rooted in a subculture of fashion known as Gothic Lolita, which takes the cute base elements of Lolita fashion and coats it with the Victorian drip of Gothic design. It goes away to explain why cute safety pins, frills, and berets go so well together with socket joints, argyle patterns, and the monochrome goth elements of the puppet's design, as the creator clearly liked the aesthetic. Moving on to that creator in question, the Herta ditches the majority of cutesy Lolita elements in favor of a more mature style. However, there are still some hints of cute that come to her in the forms of various frills and bows. You'll notice some shared motifs like the keyhole in the center of both outfits and the purple nail polish, but as I've said, her overall design leads more into gothic sophistication. Think intricate patterns, a Victorian style dress, and laced up high boots. Add in the frill sleeves and the ankle-length skirt, and you've got an elegant upgrade from Puppet Herta. But even the most polished designs can take a wild turn with a single detail, and for the Herta, that wild card comes in the form of a pointy hat.
I love this hat. I like to wear it. It makes me happy.
Every member of the Genius Society is an oddball, and Herta is no exception. Her research is entirely driven by her own self-interest, and if she loses that interest halfway through a project, she'll abandon it without a second thought. kinda like my YouTube channel. That said, her short attention span has made her knowledgeable in a wide range of fields, which might explain the abundance of pop culture references in her material. Her skill names, for instance, are inspired by popular memes like hand them over, big brain energy, did you get it, and hear me out. Even her eidolons reference famous books such as Stephen King's The Wind Through the Keyhole and Robert Heinlein's The Door into Summer. Puppet Herta even has a portrait that is styled after Johannes Vermeer's Girl with the Pearl Earring. And don't even get me started on the sheer number of Easter eggs packed into a character trailer. Keys in her eye, Jesus, Michelangelo's The Creation of Adam, Junji Ito's Tomy, Gendo Ikari's Glasses, or Dawe, Misa Amane from Death Note, Anya's meme face from Spy Family, Mickey Mouse, Persona 4 TVs, Edward Munch's The Scream, Danganronpa, Pop Team Epic, Spinning Kururu dolls, Shinibyu, and even Bitcoin. A seemingly random assortment of references, yet perfectly fitting for someone who hops from one fascination to another. This goes doubly so when we revisit her fascination with mirrors, as in folklore, mirrors are usually gateways to other realms or dimensions. This eclectic mix of culture adds a playful yet whimsy feel to her design, which is only further emphasized by the witch hat. See, during the Middle Ages, coincidentally overlapping with the Gothic era, witches were often just normal village healers or wise women. These individuals used herbal remedies and chants for protection and healing, essentially being the amateur pharmacists of their time. However, as Christianity spread across Europe, pagan practices became increasingly demonized, and witchcrafts became associated with devil worship despite little evidence to support such claims. What people couldn't understand, they labeled as magic, a notion that parallels Herta's use of technology and science. Her creations are so sophisticated that they blur the lines between science and what we perceive as magic.
Someone had once questioned my research and said it was not science. Well, I replied, who said this is science? Have you ever seen magic?
The pointy hat is an obvious nod, but there are plenty of other witch-like elements in Herta's design. Her black cat plushie, the way she rides her weapon like a broomstick, and the many books and tomes surrounding her in her art. However, it doesn't sound quite right, because the trope of misunderstood scary witch doesn't quite fit the image of the great Madame Herta. And this is where the romanticism of the 20th century steps in, reinterpreting witches as figures of mystery and power, moving away from the theme of fear and more towards that of fascination and whimsy. And this is where the final piece of Herta's design clicks into place.
You can write no thesis, or only one thesis in your lifetime, as long as you're brave enough, that is. Thoughts that aren't brave enough aren't fit to be called thoughts. Even masked fools know that.
At this point, it's very clear from the story that Herta is a very intelligent character, and her design reflects this brilliance in subtle ways. The purple flowers on her hat are called clematis, traditionally given to inspire and celebrate creativity or to recognize someone's cleverness and persistence. They represent mental beauty and ingenuity, much like Herta claims to be. Her design is peppered with numerous locks and keys, which symbolize questions and answers. Notably, she wields a giant key as a weapon, suggesting she possesses the means to solve any problem with her intellect. But the thing is, you'll notice that both on Puppet Herta and the Herta, the central focus of both designs isn't a key, but rather the keyhole, emphasizing that at her core, Herta values questions more than she does answers. This fascination with knowledge and mystery is the golden thread that weaves together every element of Herta's design. From the clematis flowers to the locks and keys, from a fascination with mirrors to the witchy undertones and gothic aesthetic, everything about her is crafted to spark questions in the mind of the viewer. But it's in the intriguing way that Herta asks those questions that makes her unmistakably Herta. See, there's one piece of Herta's design that represents her way of thinking, and one that I've avoided mentioning until now. It is the strange melted clock on the right side of her dress that is straight out of a famous painting by Salvador Dali called The Persistence of Memory. It's a landscape of melting clocks that symbolize the fluidity and relativity of time. They have this dreamlike, surreal perspective where time becomes malleable, distorted, and subjective. It basically asks the same question as Einstein's theory of relativity, but where Einstein gives us formulas and theorems as answers, Dali gives us this whimsical and surreal painting that only leaves you with more questions. It displays this childlike curiosity for questions, a spark we often lose when we grow older. Questions like, why is the grass green, or why is the sky blue? Sure, there may be scientific answers for it, but isn't it more interesting to imagine a fairy sprinkling green dust on the grass? And from that thought, even more questions arise. Why green? Why only the grass? Why not the sand? This sense of wonder has no end. It's a boundless fascination with the world, driven not by answers, but by the joy of asking what if. It's this childlike wonder that allows us to see magic in the ordinary and keeps us captivated forever. And this is what makes Herta so special. She never lost her sense of wonder. She never lost that relentless curiosity to seek out new questions. It's why the image of a magical witch suits her so perfectly, because there is no end to the wonders of magic and the questions you can find in the unknown. Herta is the perfect emanator of erudition because she dares to ask questions even her own Aeon cannot answer. And if there's one question that an Aeon can't solve, then there must be an entire world of unanswered questions still waiting to be asked. And with Herta's design answered, only one question remains, my dear Trailblazer. What is your next question? And that is a wrap on episode 17 of the Design Gazette. If you enjoyed our time together, be sure to help me out by liking, sharing, and commenting down below on some of your favorite things about the Herta. Links in the description if you want to buy me a coffee, and if you're new around here, hi, I'm the starward Crusader, and I have a whole series of Design Gazettes and story recaps for you to enjoy by hitting that big red button. Lately, I haven't actually been playing a lot of Star Rail. Yes, I know, the hypocrisy of calling myself the Star Rail Crusader is palpable. But honestly, ever since 3.0 came out, I have not been able to enjoy the story, mainly because the characters I've spent the better part of 2 years with have all gone mute. First it was Himiko, and I was like, okay, this is not bad. And then it was Danhong, and I said, fine, I can live with this. And then Trailblazer went silent, and I completely lost it because my silent protagonist is actually silent now. And when I switched to Japanese, all I could hear was Itadori Yuji, and I was starting to lose my marbles. I really hope they fix this soon because I have absolutely no motivation to play Star Rail right now. Especially since Marvel Rivals came out, I have just been addicted. To be honest, the reason I haven't posted in 2 months is because of this stupid game. I'm just too addicted to it. So much so that I've actually been considering whether I should make a Design Gazette for it or not. I know it's not my usual alley, but if you would like to see me talk about Marvel, let me know down in the comment section below. And with all that said, may your journey lead you ever starward.